Doctors Union, KMPDU, and the government, of course, including the county governments. The deal was signed yesterday. And today, there was some activity at some hospitals across the country, hospitals that had not seen patients or doctors for that period of time, although it's not in all hospitals that doctors were all back. Patients were turned away in some health facilities because doctors had not reported on duty. Maybe before we go to Linus, Gituko, maybe you can give us a bit of a brief on what was exactly contained in the return to work formula, because we're talking about the doctor strike is over. Is it really over? Because we saw some demonstrations today from other medical practitioners who are not happy.
Yes, so the clinical officers and the medical laboratory officers are still on strike. They're counting more than 30 days. They say they feel ignored because there's been no particular response from the what was I saying? Yes, so someone just texted me something and I made a mistake of checking and seeing what it
multitasking
is.
Initiative.
Yeah, they're talking about that should the committee that is probing Linturi not find any grounds for impeachment, then the matter will end there.
You're talking about the clinical officers who are still on strike.
Which is right. But now you're talking about the clinical officers. So they said they've been ignored, that the Council of Governors is not paying attention to them, the Ministry of Health is not paying attention to them. And so they say they will continue for as long as they can because they have grievances to be taken care of. But also on the question of doctors, I was looking at the documentation yesterday that was signed, and they are talking about the strike comes to an end immediately and the doctors have to report back to their stations, but not later than 24 hours. I think the signing was yesterday, that is Wednesday. Yeah. So 24 hours would expire today in the afternoon. So hopefully tomorrow, this is when that you would expect to find the doctors reporting back to their stations. But also there's a story that was done by Crispin Otieno that shows you that things are not normal, really. Or rather, there's a new normal that has been known for the past 56 days. Yeah. So doctors have not yet reported to their stations, and therefore there's still that challenge. But even if the doctor strike is over, the clinical officers are not at their workstations, so there's still a challenge there on the provision of the health services. But then again, there has been questions as to what exactly did this strike achieve, because there's some issues that have been left pending. For instance, if it's a question of the medical interns or the doctor interns, you find that it has been postponed, and they're saying that within 60 days, the different parties will have to come together and come up with a formula of how that should be handled. But then in the return to work formula, they indicated that in the meantime, no medical intern should be posted. Yeah. So remember that the government had offered 70,000 shillings. The doctors rejected. Yes. The agreement now would indicate that there will be no intern that will be posted. So what does that mean? That the stalemate continues. There's no assurance that within the next 30 days that will be resolved. It took almost 60 days in active strike in the field. There was no answer that was found. So the next 60 days, when there's no active strike, you're expecting that there should be a solution reached. I don't know how they are going to make sure that happens. But also, if you look at even the conversations with the counties, because some doctors are employed at the national level, some are employed at the county level, there are several things that have been pushed ahead. Is it what you call beating the can down the line or down the road? So, for instance, even the payment of the pending arrears. So they said that that would be continuously done up until, I think, the financial year of 2025, 2026. If a CB of 7 years was not implemented in 7 years, if the strike did not get implemented in those 56 days, what assurance do you have that these employers are going to do what exactly has been signed upon?
How did they exactly give in? I think that's the question, because they'd been really taken hard stands throughout, refusing to even attend meetings or walking out of meetings that had senior government officials. Linus, before you come in, let's listen to Davji Atela of KMPDU and also Health CS Susan Nakhumicha shortly after they signed the deal yesterday, and we can continue.
We signed this particular return to work formula today so that it can pave way for the doctors to resume work within 24 hours from now. And that means the strike that began on 13th of March 2024 has been called off. we have agreed on a 60 days period that they will not be posted, but we'll be having conversations on this issue. It then means that as this matter in court is ongoing, we'll also be having conversation. But one thing we must assure everybody, every doctor and every person, that the rights of workers as enshrined in a collective bargaining agreement that is signed, that is sacrosanct, we will always endeavor to protect.
Last night, we left the Ministry of Health at 3 a.m. And the deal breaker was, is this a deal for execution or just for signing? And we agreed that it was a deal for execution. This strike has given us an opportunity to introspect and look inwards to see what can be done better for health workers in this country.
Gentlemen, especially in a sigh of relief for government. I mean, hey, it's been a very difficult 56 days. But then I wonder what they had to compromise on their end, or KMPDU on their end, to be able to reach the point we are at now.
This is my interpretation. Basically, both sides have bought time. They've given each other 60 days to talk through these issues. It doesn't sound to me like any of the issues have been really resolved. Okay. Remember, what they signed is called a return to work formula. And a return to work formula can buy, in this case, seems to buy them time that we are going back to work on the condition that within 60 days we need to resolve some of the outstanding issues. There's a statement there by the CS for Health, and I think she says something quite important when she talks about introspection by government, introspection by ministry, in as far as the question of treatment of health workers is concerned. One would then hope that she will follow up with what she mentioned there, which is this is not just for signing, it's for implementation. And so if there is an admission that health workers have not been treated well in the country, then the ministry has the first assignment, which is to nip in the bud the complaints we had today. You saw the threat by the lab technicians and clinical officers to resume or to go on strike because of the grievances that they have. So very interesting times ahead. The ministry going through a major test, and also the whole infrastructure of the public health sector being tested. I noticed that the CBA of 2017 was signed between the Ministry of Health of the national government and the KMPDU. And the return to work formula that was signed the other day is titled KMPDU and county governments. So you can see that the ministry did not have its name unless Sam, I got the top of that.
No, they signed two. So one is with the county governments, the other one is with the national government.
With the national government.
So, but you're right that the Ministry of Health has also sort of distanced themselves from the county government's employees.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So very interesting days ahead. Let's see how this goes. It's been very destabilizing, and I think that should be the appreciation of not just the two parties, but the Kenyans in general.
That's true. And as we finish, Gituku, before you come in, maybe we can listen to the clinical officers and the medical laboratory officers who are still on strike. They feel the government is not listening to them and doesn't care about what their issues are.
We are on strike to ensure that we can have equal treatment for workers. For the UHC staff who are being mistreated, and you know very well that the county continue to hold that they must continue within the next 2 years on punitive terms, which we are not supporting and we are against it. Indeed, we want to categorically say as a union, we have also appealed that matter at the Intergovernmental Coordination Summit, which the Council of Governors continue citing that they are the one who made that decision. So we have done that petition, an appeal, so that they can reverse that position to allow the ministry, which had already initiated a process to put them on permanent and pensionable with the terms that are favorable which are in tandem with the existing laws and policies.
Recently, there was a report that HIV tests results that we are getting in the country are not accurate. It's because Ministry of Health has decided to engage Class 8 dropouts to test HIV. These are the people who are manning VCT centers. They are given 2 weeks training.
Gitoko, these guys are important. Cleaning officers and the medical lab technicians are vital in running any health facility.
Right, but also there's something he's saying that Class 8 dropouts are the ones that are conducting HIV tests. Unless that is factual, that is very dangerous to make a claim about such an important issue, because obviously it's one of the very important areas of focus in the health sector of the country. But that aside, yes, the medical laboratory officers and the clinical officers, I mean, they're too crucial, because how do you treat without evidence? And diagnosis, there are certain investigations that have to be done through a laboratory. So if the medical laboratory officers are not at public institutions, then who is doing that testing and proper diagnosis? So that is something that needs to be really focused on by the parties that are involved. I just wanted to take a look at some of the writings. This is the CBA between the counties and the doctors, that is KMPDU. And on basic salary arrears, which was one of the issues that they were complaining about, you can imagine how they said that the county government shall make payments of the basic pay salary arrears accrued to the doctors as contained in the CBA of 2017 to 2021, pursuant to the judgment of 2021 October, but also saying that this will be done upon receipt of a conditional grant from the National Treasury, who have committed to pay from 1st of July 2024. So it's in less than 2 months. However, they say the payment shall be made in a phased manner over a period of 5 years. So these arrears are supposed to be implemented between 2017 to 2021. They are hoping that the National Treasury will provide the resources from 1st of July to be paid in a period of 5 years. That is up to 2029. The period, they also say, period is subject to amendments upon discussions by Minister of Health and the National Treasury. So meaning it can also change. It can be less, it can be more than that. For the return to work formula between the national government and the KMPD, they are saying that the basic salary arrears as accrued by doctors under employment by county governments as of 30th of June 2024 shall be settled in 5 years with effect from the 1st of July 2024. For the national government, they're saying that the national government shall, through a conditional grant, facilitate the settlement of the basic salary arrears accrued by the county government, and the amount is 3.5 billion shillings. So you can see that there's a bit of negotiation here, and it may appear that eventually it is actually the government that won in this strike. Because also, if you look at the question of internship, after 56 days, the government position is that the issue of intern doctors is the subject of Employment and Labour Relations Court matter. And in that regard, and pursuant to the order of the Employment and Labour Relations Court, the issue is held in abeyance until the matter is heard and finally determined. So obviously that matter still remains in court. For the KMPD, they are saying that the medical officer interns, pharmacists interns, and dentists interns shall be posted immediately in accordance with the 2017-2021 CBA. But then, because those are two conflicting positions, eventually the parties shall commence and conclude negotiations on the issue within 60 days. So it's a contradiction of matters here. So the government is waiting on the decision of the court. The KMPD are saying deploy these medical interns based on the terms, of course, talking about the 206,000 shillings for stipend. But eventually, the return to work formula is within 60 days, discuss and go back to work and have the interns posted. I mean, it's...
I didn't check. Didn't indicate when the start date of the 60 days is?
I think it's commencing from the date of signing, which was yesterday. And they said, for now, there shall be no deployment or posting of any medical intern.
So interns, wherever they are, they're not happy because there's no resolution. 56 days later, I think they're the same place they were.
Their lives are stagnating because they need to be registered as doctors. You require 1 year of internship. So this stalemate is actually going to affect them so badly in the coming months.
Wow. Very interesting few days and months ahead. Gentlemen, I think it's time to finish. final words?
Just before we go to the final word, Jamila, just allow me to play a clip that has just come from one of our viewers and a good village mate of mine called Mosinko, who is writing to us from Mararianda. Mararianda, for those who know, is on the edges of the Masai Mara. And Mosinko was earlier today out and about the Mara River, and I just want us to now watch this video and we talk about it briefly. There we go.
Wewe usikuja bwana. Hii imeenda. Hapo ni mbaya. Hapo ni mbaya boss. Hapo ni mbaya bwana. Sisi tulikuambia ona. Ona. Ona sasa. Pikipiki mmemtangulia.
Yeah, those are possibly lives lost today.
Yeah.
Because Mosinko tells me they were still looking for those two people. That was completely unnecessary. But this is really what we've seen also during this flooding situation. And some General Russell Honore that I spoke about, who led the Katrina response, one of his famous quotes was, "Don't get stuck with the stupid." I don't know whether it could have been more appropriate when it comes to some of these responses, because that was unnecessary. You saw that motorbike, very good sunny day, and they choose to take the risk. And even with these colleagues pleading with them that don't cross, you can see the motorcyclist actually engaging in rather unwise heroism. And some of these fatalities occur this way, and this is really unnecessary. This is completely...
It's extremely unfortunate. And I remember I was having a conversation with someone, and they made a remark that got me thinking that anything can float in water. Even the biggest ship floats on water. But it floats because it's a ship.
Yeah.
A motorbike is not a ship, so it will be carried away. And it reminds me of even the vehicles that you've seen trying to cross a river. Very heavy, carrying sand. People forgetting that it is not the weight that really moves across water. If even the tubes are inflated, they make it easier for water to deal with it. So really, we are hoping that this situation will reduce, because of course the weatherman has said that the intensity of the rainfall will be going down in this month. But one can only hope that lessons are being learned. That, I mean, you should never be in a hurry to cross a river that surely you can see that there's no chance of even getting to the other end, or you're in doubt. You'd rather just wait and be late for whatever you're